Brian De Palma is a director I really admire. While everyone talks about his massive pop culture legacies, his filmography is packed with hidden gems that deserve way more attention. So today we are diving into my personal favorite De Palma films and breaking down what makes his style so unique. So let's get started. I don't think I ever seen a director more obsessed with Alfred Hitchcock than Brian De Palma. But he didn't just copy Hitchcock, he took Hitchcock's classic premises and twisted them into his own wild, stylized versions. Take Rear Window for example. De Palma took that exact DNA and turned into Body Double, a sleek, voyeuristic murder mystery that served as a brilliant, modernized adaptation. Now, he also made High Mom, which is essentially a much raunchier experimental take on the Rear Window concept. But honestly, it didn't really work for me. On the other hand, Sisters is another riff on the same formula, and it's absolute gold. Film buffs often point out that his movies Obsession and Rush to Kill are his direct interpretations of Hitchcock's Vertigo and Psycho. Now, because I haven't seen those specific Hitchcock classics yet, I won't pretend to be an expert on the comparison. But De Palma himself has openly admitted that Hitchcock was his biggest cinematic blueprint. In my opinion, De Palma is an absolute specialist when it comes to psychological thrillers. Aside from Sisters and Rush to Kill, there's a lesser-known movie called Raising Cain. You rarely hear people calling it a masterpiece, but as a pure twisting thriller, it's fantastic. Then there's Femme Fatale. It was a box office flop when it came out, but it has developed a massive cult following over the years. The framing and that final climax sort of pure cinematic eye candy. The first De Palma film I ever watched was Carrie. His movies have this distinct ability to have a lingering haunting effect on me, and Carrie is the perfect example of that. He also directed Phantom of the Paradise, a brilliant stylized musical horror that is incredibly fun. But let's talk about The Fury. Think of it as a wild mashup of X-Men meets Mission Impossible. Honestly, if someone remade this today as a sci-fi espionage crossover, maybe taking an older 60-something Ethan Hunt dealing with a superpowered son on one final desperate mission, it would have insane potential. And here's a fun fact for the casual fans. Brian De Palma actually directed the very first Mission Impossible movie in 1996, setting the visual tone for the entire multi-billion-dollar franchise. Now, let's hit the heavy hitters. Scarface isn't necessarily my personal favorite to me, it's just a decent, watchable movie. But I cannot deny its cultural legacy. GTA Vice City was heavily inspired by it. Indian cinema unofficial adaptations like Billa 2 and the rise of massive anti-hero epics like Race, KGF and Pushpa all owe a huge debt to the blueprint Scarface created. Then you have The Untouchables, which is a star-studded masterpiece. Kevin Costner, Sean Connery, Robert De Niro, Andy Garcia. The casting is legendary. But my personal favorite Al Pacino and De Palma collaboration, it's Carlito's Way. For me, it beats Scarface easily. The narrative drive and the tragic tone of that film are just beautiful. I should also mention Blowout. While I find it more watchable than mind-blowing, the core concept is genius. Even if you adapted that exact plot today, a sound technician accidentally recording a political assassination, it remains incredibly relevant and gripping. De Palma's war films are a massive departure from his usual stylized thrillers. Movies like Casualties of War and Redacted are deeply gritty and based on real-life atrocities. The reason I respect these films so much is how fiercely they critique the US military and Western imperialism. While Casualties of War gets some historical discussion, Redacted is almost entirely ignored. It's a shame because it's a powerful piece of filmmaking that almost no one talks about. Finally, we have his commercial thrillers. Snake Eyes can feel a bit like a generic late 90s Hollywood studio film, but Nicolas Cage's energy and De Palma's signature long takes make it incredibly engaging. And of course, Mission Impossible. It perfectly syncs De Palma's signature suspense style with big budget action. It might not sit at the very top of my all-time favorite list, but I still enjoy it more than Blowout or Scarface. Brian De Palma is a filmmaker who could jump from high-art Hitchcock tributes to massive summer blockbusters without losing his identity. Which De Palma movie is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. I will be back with another video soon. Bye bye guys.